From the Diamond Select Toys Marvel line, we have the Punisher, Frank Castle himself, my personal all-time favorite comic book hero slash anti-hero. And a design that's clearly set to pay tribute to the Marvel Knights run of the Punisher. You can see the art on the side of the box, and you can see the back telling you all about the display that you're about to get inside the package, as well as a nice little bio about Frank Castle himself, and you can find out about other figures in this particular series. As you know, when it comes to Diamond Select, some of their Marvel figures are a little more posable than others. Some are more like glorified statues, but they're still cool. While I think this one is going to be the latter, you still cannot deny right up front that this has a very awesome display with it. So without further ado, let's crack this puppy open and find out what it's about. Out of the package, you'll see the wonderful Marvel Knights image. Out of the package, you'll see the wonderful image of the Punisher here, based off the Marvel Knights series, I'm pretty sure. It looks like a pretty pissed off old Frank, and I think that's a pretty cool Frank. Everything else is as well based off the comic book, as you can see here. He comes with two guns in hand. Now here's the thing about this one. He moves at the shoulders there. He can move his arms. His hands don't move. Well, yeah, his hands do move. My bad, y'all. Hands move. Arms move. The elbows have no movement, and it's the same on this one. As far as the legs go, the legs don't move. He kind of moves at the waist a little bit, but you pretty well have a statue of Frank, but that's okay because look at the sculpture on this one. That is a pretty badass looking Punisher, if I do say so myself. Plus, when he's on display, he's going to look even that much better. Speaking of the display, out of the pack, he comes with the setup here, the diorama, some people like to call it. I believe it says Matters Tower. I believe that's what that says. And then it also comes with some utensils here, which are essentially going to be the table legs for the pinball machine that this fella has been shot on. Going to be the legs for the pinball machine that this fella is laid out on. Speaking of which, look at the detail on him. He has a grenade in his mouth. He has a pin on his chest. He has tattoos on his arms. His feet move, but that's about it because he's kind of restrained. And making it even more all the cooler, he's on a Spider-Man pinball machine. Also, with the way the cuffs are made, I can only assume these are done this way so you can hook the actual legs of the pinball machine through them. Let's find that out. I was right, the legs do go on the pinball machine, and it does go through the handcuffs, and it does go through some boot laces here too, a rope around the boot, and another restraint around this boot. Unfortunately, you got to be careful when you do this one because I did pop the rubber on that one, so that's my bad on that one, y'all. But there he is. He looks like a pretty big fella too. But let's see how it looks with the Punisher. When all is said and done, the Punisher from Diamond Select Toys looks pretty darn cool, especially next to his victim here, who looks to be extremely tall when compared to Frank Castle. Nonetheless, the figure does have limited movability, but would work great for display, although if action scenes is your thing, you may have a little bit of trouble with him. Size-wise, Frank's just a regular man. Remember, he has no superpowers, so he's probably about your average height. That's what he looks like next to a regular Hasbro Marvel Legend, and this is what he looks like next to your average size WWE Elite figure, if we can get by the guns here. So, there you have it. Diamond Select Toys Punisher, Frank Castle. More of a display than anything else, and probably a lot better to stand if I had it on a better surface than this right here. But nonetheless, if I can get him to cooperate with me, basically that's what you're dealing with, and what you're dealing with is pretty darn cool.